All right, welcome to the after work video. So I want to make this one short. Hopefully I can finish the whole book, but if I can't, I'll probably end up bailing after 20 minutes. So the next person being interviewed in this book is Joseph Reese. So where do you work and what do you do there? I am the co-founder of Ternary Data. I mostly work in sales, marketing, and product development. What is your favorite cloud and why? It's a toss-up between AWS and Google Cloud. I find AWS better for apps, but Google Cloud superior for data and ML/AI. When did you start using Python? 2009. What is your favorite thing about Python? There's usually one way to do things, and that cuts down on the mental overhead needed to figure out the best solution to the problem at hand. Just do it the Python way and move on. What is your least favorite thing about Python? The GIL, all in capitals, is my least favorite thing. Though thankfully the world seems to be moving toward a resolution of the GIL. So let's look at what GIL is. This is what's so great about. What is the GIL of Python? No, not the GIF, the GIL.
You're referring to the GIL, which stands for the Global Interpreter Lock in Python.
Okay.
The GIL is a mutex that protects access to Python objects, preventing multiple native threads from executing Python bytecodes at once.
Interesting.
This lock is necessary because CPython memory management is not thread safe.
Okay.
Here's why the GIL is significant: concurrency versus parallelism. The GIL allows only one thread to execute in the interpreter at any given time. This means that in a multi-thread program, even though it appears that threads run in parallel, they actually execute one at a time when it comes to Python code. Impact on multi-thread programs. For CPU-bound programs that require heavy processing and benefit from multi-threading, the GIL is often seen as a hindrance because it prevents true parallel execution of Python threads.
Okay.
However, it's less of an issue for IO-bound multi-thread programs where the threads spend most of their time waiting for external events, like network responses. Alternatives. To bypass the limitations of the GIL in Python, developers might use multiprocessing instead of multi-threading, where separate memory spaces are used. Another option is to use implementations of Python that don't have a GIL, such as Jython or PyPy. Though PyPy does have a form of GIL, its impact is reduced due to its just-in-time compiler. The GIL is a well-known feature of the CPython interpreter, which is the standard and most widely used implementation of Python.
Could the GIL, the GIL, be the GIL? What we're talking about. Sorry, the voice to text is making it into GIF, but you know what we're talking about. We're in the same context. We're talking about the GIL. So could this be a reason you would want to use Go instead of Python because of this limitation of CPython?
Absolutely, the presence of the global interpreter lock, GIL, in CPython can indeed be a reason some developers might choose to use Go instead of Python for certain types of applications, especially those requiring high concurrency or CPU-intensive parallel processing.
All right.
Here are a few reasons why Go might be preferred over Python
But
in
it's
scenarios.
like
Concurrency. Go is designed with concurrency as a first-class feature, using Go routines.
But it's like the kind of thing where it's only applicable to a mega giant project costing billions of dollars with millions upon millions of devices and stuff. Is that the case? Like, this is only a real design consideration for projects at a large magnitude of scale. And even for that, like, you'll probably be able to use JYTHON or PYPY just fine. Like, you don't have to use the C Python implementation.
The considerations around using Go instead of Python due to the global interpreter lock, GIL, aren't just applicable to mega giant projects.
Oh, really?
In fact, the decision to choose a programming language can be influenced by concurrency needs even in moderately sized projects. Here's a breakdown of when and why this might matter. Project scale and concurrency needs. While it's true that very large-scale projects might face more acute challenges with Python's GIL, even smaller or mid-sized projects can run into performance bottlenecks if they require efficient utilization of multi-core processors for concurrent processing. It's not just about the size of the project, but the nature of the tasks it needs to perform.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Alternatives to CPython. While Jython and PyPy offer alternatives to CPython's GIL limited model.
No, that's what I meant. Like, when I said the word size, I didn't mean like how big the budget was or like any particular marker of size. Like, what I meant was if a mid-size or smaller project required a lot of concurrency needs, then the size of that would be large. Like if you don't have a specialized project that requires a ton of concurrency, it basically doesn't matter if you choose a language like Python that's not made for concurrency, and you don't really get a benefit for using another language. And even if you do have a lot of concurrency needs, you're still fine choosing Python. You just have to be aware of the limitations and get around them through using things like JYTHON.
Oh, I see what you mean now. Yes, you're right in saying that the size of a project in terms of its concurrency demands doesn't necessarily correlate directly with whether scale in terms of infrastructure or user base.
Yeah.
Even smaller projects can have intense concurrency requirements that might lead
Right.
developers to consider alternatives to Python, or at least alternatives to CPython due to the GIL. Here's a clear perspective on how Python fits into projects with varying concurrency needs. Concurrency in Python. While Python code can be a limiting factor in multi-threaded CPU-bound scenarios, Python is still quite effective for many types of concurrency-heavy applications, especially those that are I/O-bound. This is because I/O-bound applications spend more time waiting for external operations, like network responses or disk I/O, to complete, which means threads can yield their time during these wait periods, allowing other threads to run. Workarounds and alternatives within Python. Multiprocessing. Python multiprocessing library is a popular choice for bypassing the GIL by using separate memory spaces and processes, thus enabling parallel CPU computation across multiple cores. Asynchronous programming. Libraries like Asyncio provide a framework for writing single-threaded concurrent code using coroutines, which is highly effective for I/O-bound tasks.
All right, that's fine. All right, so moving on. So the least favorite thing about Python that Joseph Race thinks is the global interpreter lock. That makes it so Python in its default form, which uses C Python, is not good for concurrency. What is the software industry going to look like in 10 years? Probably much like it does now, though with faster iteration cycles of best practices and new tools. What's old is new again, and what's new is old. The thing that doesn't change is people. I don't know about that. Because, like, if we look, it's the year 2024. So what did the software industry look like in 1924? Like, it didn't even exist, right? Like, I think there were no. I don't like that answer at all. I completely disagree. I think in 10 years it's going to look a lot different. I think AI is a game changer. But I think I was listening to a podcast recently, and basically AI is going to be like a new sort of programming language with like new sorts of inputs and outputs. So like there's still going to be programmers, there's still going to be software, but it's not going to look more or less like it does right now, for sure. I mean, it already doesn't. Like even the difference between Python and C is like pretty substantial. It's definitely not going to look the same. What technology would you short? I'd short AI in the short term, but very long AI over the coming decades. A lot of hype around AI poses a risk of some broken hearts in the short term. I don't understand that answer. I guess the answer is AI, but that's a pretty bad answer to me. What is the most important skill you would recommend someone interested in Python DevOps learn? Automate everything possible. Python is an awesome language for simplifying your life and your company's processes. Definitely take advantage of this great power. Definitely a good answer for that. What is the most important skill you would recommend someone learn? Learn to have a growth mindset. Be flexible, adaptable, and be able to learn able to learn new things will keep you relevant for a very long time. With the hyperfast changes in tech and the world in general, there will be endless opportunities to learn, mostly because you'll have to. tell the reader something cool about you. I'm a former rock climbing bum, club DJ, and adventurer. Now I'm a rock climber with a job. I still DJ, and I go on as many ventures as possible. Well, getting back Monday at like 8 or something. So not much has changed, but the itch to explore and do dangerous things still continues. All right, so if he has a LinkedIn, I might add him on LinkedIn. I really don't like having too many people added to my LinkedIn, though, because I want everyone added there to be there on purpose. But let's take a look at his personal site. So to do that, I can hit this X, and then I can click that again, and now it opens up his personal site. So his personal site is down. Could be something to do with my end of the. But let's see if he's on LinkedIn. Okay, so it looks like it is something to do with my internet. My internet's slow right now. But let's search for him on there. Yeah, so my internet did pop up for LinkedIn, so it's probably not. Oh, you know what? This is probably him. Okay, yeah, you know what? I'll add, or I'll follow. All right, so I did want to say one thing quick about learning to have a growth mindset. So I feel like growth mindset is kind of becoming outdated. Like, I feel like the release of ChatGPT and like a really good, like something that can give you a output at the quality of your input in a way like basically never before demands a new mindset. I feel like in addition to or even instead of having a growth mindset, you should have a prompting mindset where like you think about what the right questions are, how to ask them, and you're able to kind of not fill in the gaps with your mindset. You'll be able to have more of a mindset where you are open to receiving, the information. So like, it's not necessarily about. You should have like more of a receptive, influential mindset with a focus of prompting. I think prompting the AI is like one of the most important modern skills. All right, so Tejo Holzer, where do you work and what do you do there? Of course, at the same time, I honestly do feel like ChatGPT is a little bit like not as good as I would like it to be. I've been working as a senior software engineer at Weta Digital, New Zealand for 12 years. My responsibilities include software development, mainly Python and C++, but I also occasionally perform system engineering and DevOps tasks. What is your favorite cloud and why? It has to be AWS. One of the main features they offer is the support for continuous integration and delivery. In software engineering, you want to automate as many mundane tasks as possible so you can concentrate on the fun parts of innovative software development. I just want to prompt the AI quick here. So how can I cash flow AWS cloud services? I'm just curious about this.
Cash flowing AWS, Amazon Web Services, cloud services effectively involves planning and managing your usage to optimize costs. Here are some strategies to help you maintain positive cash flow while using AWS. 1. Understand pricing models. AWS offers various pricing models that can significantly impact your costs. On demand, pay for compute capacity by the hour or second with no commitment. Reserved instances. Commit to a specific instance type in a specific region for a term of 1 to 3 years to receive low rate compared to on demand. Spot and
What
sensor.
is...
Purchase and use VC2 capacity at significant discounts compared to on-demand rates, suitable for flexible start and end times. Savings plans. Commit to a consistent...
Wait, but what does cash flowing mean? I thought, like, what cash flowing meant was that you put cash into something and then you got cash out of something, and you created a cash flow when the amount of cash you get out from something is greater than the amount you get in. So you get this trickle of income by having cash flowing into you by some action you are doing. So like the classic example is you buy a property and then you rent it out for someone, and you bought the property for a certain amount of money, and that puts you in the hole, but your costs of owning the property are, let's say, like $500, and you can rent it out to someone for $1,000. So now you are cash flowing this company, you are cash flowing this property, and after a while, the full costs it took for you to own and rent out this property are not only going to be recuperated, but you are going to stand to become very wealthy because you have this cash flow set up. So is there something like that you can do with AWS services? Is that the right understanding of cash flowing, or is cash flowing something different?
I see where you're coming from now. You're referring to creating cash flow from an investment where the income generated from the investment exceeds the costs, leading to a profitable return.
How do you do that with AWS?
This is a common concept in real estate investment, as in your example.
Right.
Translating this idea directly to AWS services isn't straightforward because AWS typically represents a cost center rather than an income-generating asset on its own. However, you can think about generating positive cash flow indirectly by leveraging AWS services in ways that either increase revenue or decrease costs in business setting.
E-commerce.
Here are a couple of scenarios. 1. Using AWS to support business operations that generate revenue e-commerce platform. By hosting an e-commerce platform on AWS, you invest in AWS infrastructure like EC2, S3, RDS, etc., which might have an upfront and ongoing cost.
E-commerce.
However, the platform you build generates sales and revenue. The aim would be to ensure that the revenue generated from the sales significantly exceeds the cost of AWS services, thereby creating positive cash flow. SaaS products. If you develop and host a software as a service SaaS product on AWS, the infrastructure costs are your investment. Your revenue comes from subscribers or users who pay for using your software. Effective scaling and management of AWS resources can help.
See, the biggest thing I can't think about is, like, how do you make money just by using AWS services? Like, all I can imagine is you bleed money out to AWS, of course, by buying their services. But like, when it comes to making money, all that came to my mind was e-commerce, and then you have SaaS products listed. So like, I just feel like it's not as easy to make money in this way. Like, there's no equivalent when it comes to AWS services and like investing in, you know, using AWS services and trying to create a cash flowing investment from them. There's no equivalent to like renting out a house to someone and having them pay you rent. Like, e-commerce is definitely not that, because people can just decide not to buy your product. You can run out of product. You can not have good enough advertising where people don't know that they need your product. So it's not. And then the thing is, like, once somebody buys your product, they have your product and they don't need it again. It's not like rent where they pay for it periodically. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. The comparison between investing in real estate, like renting out a property, and using AWS services isn't direct or straightforward. Real estate can provide a more predictable and passive income stream because you're leasing out a tangible asset and the tenants provide regular rental payments.
Right.
All services, on the other hand, represent a toolset or platform that supports business
It's
operations
not
and
even
enables opportunities
yours.
rather than being a direct source of passive income.
It belongs to AWS.
Here's how AWS differs. In some ways, businesses use AWS to indirectly generate revenue. Business enablement, not direct revenue tool and platform. AWS provides the infrastructure and platform services that enable businesses to build and scale applications, store data, and manage operations efficiently.
Yeah.
It's not a direct income generating investment, but a facilitator for businesses to operate and generate money through their products or services. Ways to generate revenue using AWS, e-commerce, and SaaS. As we mentioned, these are direct methods to make money using AWS, but they come with their own set of challenges like marketing, product demand, and competition. While these aren't passive income streams, since they require active management and marketing, they are ways to monetize investments in AWS infrastructure. Providing digital services. Businesses can use AWS to offer various digital services like web hosting, data analytics as a service.
What is the best way to create a cash flow online?
Creating cash flow online involves identifying and establishing one or more revenue streams that can generate consistent income over time. Here are several effective ways to create cash flow online, each suited to different skills, interests, and resources.
Marketing.
1. E-commerce selling products online through platforms like Shopify, Amazon, or eBay. You can sell physical goods, digital products,
Yeah,
and
that
products
makes
from
sense.
suppliers directly to customers.
All right, that kind of makes more sense to me now. Yeah, work a job, create a product like a online course, or mail something to someone, e-commerce. I don't know what affiliate marketing is. Oh, that's get a sponsorship for your YouTube channel. I would love to do that for like Brilliant or like things that I actually like believe in. That's kind of my dream for this channel. Okay, that makes more sense to me now. I was just curious. I needed to do a tangent. So moving on with the rest of the interview. Things that you usually don't want to think about are code builds, running existing automated tests, releasing and deploying new versions, restarting services, etc. So you want to rely on tools like Ansible, Puppet, Jenkins, etc. to perform these tasks automatically at certain defined points. For example, when you merge a new feature branch into master. Another big plus is the amount of available support in online forums like Stack Overflow, etc. Being the current market leader in the cloud platform space naturally leads to a larger user base asking questions and solving problems. And this is the answer to what is your favorite cloud? Favorite cloud is AWS. And AWS has a lot of available features, more than others. And then AWS has more support than other platforms as well. When did you start using Python? I started using Python more than 15 years ago and have more than 12 years of professional Python experience. What is your favorite thing about Python? There is no need to reformat your source code ever. The choice to have white space carry syntactical / grammatical meaning means that other people's code immediately has a very high readability score. I also like the Python license, which led to a huge uptake of Python as a scripting language in many third-party commercial apps. Great answer. I love that answer. A lot of people interviewed in this part of the book actually said that whitespace they didn't like, but I kind of like whitespace. I mean, that's what we use in all languages, basically. Even like basically any language in the world will use whitespace, but especially English. English is all about whitespace, and it's kind of one of the predominant languages. So, especially for business. So, yeah, I like the use of whitespace myself. And then the license is something I never even would have thought of. That's so critical for adoption, is to have a license that works for people to use. What is your least favorite thing about Python? The difficulty of performing highly concurrent tasks. Yeah, so the GIL, the same thing, the global interpreter lock, in a reliable and effective fashion. In Python, efficient and reliable threading and multiprocessing are still difficult to achieve in complex environments. What is the software industry going to look like in 10 years? In my opinion, more emphasis will be placed on being able to integrate and deliver customer-centric solutions based on existing infrastructure and tooling within an aggressive time frame. There is no need to consistently reinvent the same wheel, so system engineering and DevOps skills will become more important in the software industry. You need to be able to scale fast if required. What technology would you short? Any system that has a single point of failure. So that there's a big one right now. AI, because the chips are made by NVIDIA. Building robust systems requires you to acknowledge that all systems will eventually fail. So you need to cater for that at every level. Yeah, GPU production for AI probably is going to fail at some point. That starts by not using... Oh, really? Assert statements in your code. Whoa, interesting. And goes all the way up to providing high availability multi-master database servers. Building fault-tolerant systems is especially important when there are many users relying on your systems 24/7. Even AWS only offers 99.95% uptime. What is the most important skill you would recommend someone interested in Python DevOps learn? Speedy automation. Every time you find yourself repeating the same tasks over and over, or you find yourself again waiting for a long-running task to complete, ask yourself, how can I automate and speed up those tasks? Having a quick turnaround time is essential for effective DevOps work. And one thing I would add to this as well is macros. So if you need to do something and it takes you 10 steps to do it, can you just create like a bash alias and do it in one step? Like the more you can do that and take a 10-step process down to a 1, 2, 3, or 0-step process, completely automated it, the better. So like I would say every time you find yourself repeating the same tasks over and over again, or you find yourself waiting for a long-running task to complete, ask yourself, how can I automate and speed up those tasks? Or how can I reduce the number of tasks I need to do by creating a macro that reduces the amount of steps it takes to do the task? So like, let's say a command takes an hour to run, but it requires 15 minutes of setting up. Can you, even though you can't automate the whole thing, can you automate that first 15 minutes to 5 minutes and save yourself 10 minutes by spending 5 years? No, just kidding. All right, so what is the most important skill you would recommend someone learn? Yeah, speedy automation, and that's the point. If it takes you 5 years to automate something that will save you 10 minutes, forget about it. The best thing to automate is the thing you can automate right now in 10 minutes and save an hour tomorrow. Tell the readers something cool about you. I like presenting at Python conferences. Look for my most recent talk about Python, threading, and Qt at Kiwi PyCon X. So let's see. Oops. So yeah, the book is 2 years out of date. Things happen fast. I've talked about this a lot on this channel. I'm actually not a huge fan of books. Especially for I'm not a huge fan of technology books, because the speed of technology just moves too fast for a book. Books are expensive as well. You just can't afford to buy every book you want. So it's just by the time you know what book you want to get, it's already out of date. And I just feel like it's not the best place to go for information. But I don't really know where is better. But yeah, I can follow him. I think that's fine. So yeah, New Zealand, that's the Kiwi. All right, so skip ahead to the new one. Delete my old bookmark. Delete the bug bookmark that recreates itself. All right. Now we've got Matt Harrison, Michael Ford. Then we've got recommendation section, exercises, challenges, capstone project. So I'm going to end it here because I can't finish this all in this one video, and I want to have kind of a cleaner next video where I can end everything. So I'm going to leave these last two interviews for the next video. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.